Ooh, I messed up. This morning, I was advertising my YouTube channel on the interstate, and some guy saw my sign, pulled out his phone to subscribe, lost control of his car, did 3 backflips, and landed on top of a super Target. Now the whole town's mad at me because they can't shop anymore. I'm gonna have to write a lot of apology letters, and apparently I owe Target a new roof. This is the worst thing that's ever happened to my brand, and I really thought nobody else could relate to what I was going through. But then in this moment of crisis, I did some research, and it turns out other brands have messed up way worse. It made me feel so much better. So if you thought you screwed something up recently, just wait till you see what these companies did. With LG's new G2 smartphone on the way, they brought out the festive spirit in South Korea for the G in the Cloud event. To build hype for the new phone, LG announced they would release 100 helium balloons into the skies of Seoul, South Korea, with each balloon carrying a voucher for a free LG G2 cell phone. These balloons would eventually float gently back to Earth, landing in various places around the city, making for a fun citywide scavenger hunt. But instead of waiting to see where these balloons land, people strategized that it would be easier to get a voucher by going to the balloon launch site. The location was kept secret and only told to the press, but the spot was somehow leaked online and crowds of people showed up, which LG was totally unprepared for. These phones, by the way, were retailing at almost $900 US. When spectators got their eyes on those balloons, they weren't thinking about the 2.1 megapixel front camera with 2.6 f-stop. They were thinking dollar signs. LG was easily outnumbered with only 3 employees and 20 security guards working the event, and the crowd got physical fast. People rushed the employees, ripping the balloons out of their hands before they could release them into the air. Then the weapons came out. People drew BB guns and started shooting down balloons, trampling over each other to catch the falling vouchers. You throw around the term free stuff, and it gets medieval. One woman was seen carrying a sharpened stick. By the end of the balloon battle royale, 20 people were injured, with 9 having to be hospitalized. LG promised to pay for everyone's medical bills and canceled the rest of their G in the Cloud event plans, which were supposed to continue in different cities around South Korea 4 more times. Let this be a lesson to all companies out there. Think twice before you plan on dangling almost $100,000 above an angry mob armed with weapons. This company made a TV ad just begging criminals to steal their boss's identity, and then were shocked when it actually happened. LifeLock, the identity theft prevention company, thought they were so good at protecting you and your identity that the CEO of the company, Todd Davis, could go on national television and broadcast his social security number to the world and not have anything bad happen. The commercial is so braggadocious with it. CEO Todd Davis has a U-Haul van parading through town with his social security number on the side in large font. He's on the street handing out flyers, shouting through a megaphone, and you know, he's living his brand. I need more CEOs putting their neck on the line to prove they believe in their business. The next thing I want to see is the CEO of a bug spray company to live stream from inside a tent full of hornets, armed with nothing but a can of his own repellent. In TV interviews, Todd has such a smug look, just waiting for someone to ask him for his social security number so he could drop it like it's his SoundCloud. So it isn't enough to say he was asking for it. He was begging, pleading, praying with tears in his eyes for someone out there to please steal his identity. And the American public said, don't mind if I do. The whole time these TV ads played repeatedly on national television, there were quietly over 80 confirmed attempts to steal his identity, and 13 of those were successful. All this led to loans being obtained, phone lines being opened, accounts registered, all under his name, all without his knowledge, until his credit score dropped and debt collectors came knocking. This was beyond a marketing fail. It completely invalidated LifeLock's big selling point that for only $10 a month, you'd get guaranteed protection from identity theft. Guaranteed, their favorite word. It was used a lot, and that's deceptive advertising, because how does a company promise their customers the kind of protection they couldn't give their own CEO? The FTC told Todd Davis, "How dare you get your identity stolen? Now give me $12 million. And it gets worse. With another plot twist, LifeLock, the identity protection company, was also sued for corporate identity theft after allegedly stealing a competitor's trademark and using deceptive search ads to reroute their customers to LifeLock's webpage. So to recap, LifeLock couldn't stop identity theft, then allegedly committed identity theft, and got embarrassed so bad they had to pay $12 million. This crypto coin was going to the moon, but a quick pit stop on Mount Everest led to disaster. In 2018, Ukrainian social network AskFM was launching a new altcoin, and in order to raise money, they had 4 crypto enthusiasts lug $50,000 worth of tokens to the summit of Mount Everest to be buried at the top. In a press release, AskFM said their mission was to get their crypto to the closest starting point to reach the moon. It seems so obvious, yet no one has done it. And the video description for this campaign boasts that their motivation behind this was they just can. You know, there's an old saying in the crypto market, line goes up, but there's also an old saying in mountaineering that goes, getting to the top is optional, getting down is mandatory. And very quickly, things started going down. After reaching the summit, the crypto group was hit with a storm that forced them to descend quicker than they had planned. They were accompanied by 3 Sherpas, who are the expert guides that make Everest expeditions for foreigners even remotely possible in the first place. Tragedy struck on the way down when one of these Sherpas developed snow blindness and became separated from the group, but wasn't reported missing until the next day. He passed away on the mountain. A veteran Everest reporter labeled this a preventable death and a very confusing case, saying it was hard to understand how no one was able to help him. So what did AskFM do in response? They published a blog post encouraging other people to climb Everest to go treasure hunting for their buried crypto wallets. No mention of the man who died. AskFM's CEO said it didn't make sense to blame his company for the publicity stunt gone wrong. And to be fair, I don't know how much blame they deserve. We don't really know what happened up there. But to then turn around and say, hey, keyboard warriors, it's your turn. Get up there. These crypto psychopaths will lead you off a cliff if it means they make some money. This is probably the first case in history when investing in an unproven cryptocurrency wasn't just financially risky, it was physically dangerous too. Especially since the $50,000 token evaluation was a number AskFM made up themselves based off of what they hoped the coin would be worth once people started actually buying it. So where is this altcoin today? The social network AskFM 2.0, which the cryptocurrency was created for, shut down in December 2024. Which means if a climber actually finds these crypto wallets one day, it'll be worth less than the rocks it's buried under. And those rocks, by the way, when legally taken off the mountain, actually sell for over 500 pounds. This movie was sponsored by Hot Garbage. Movie producer Dino De Laurentiis was walking through New York one day when he saw a long line of people waiting to buy lottery tickets. He mistook it for a line to a movie theater and a light bulb went off in his head. I'll make a movie about a treasure hunt called $1 Million Mystery, and to get people to buy tickets to the movie, we'll advertise that the movie holds clues to a real-world treasure hunt, and the viewer who solves the mystery wins $1 million. And to do this, we'll partner with none other than Glad, the trash bag company. Here's how Dino explained it. The sweepstakes gives us the potential to reach even more people. The infrequent moviegoer, the person more interested in winning $1 million than in going to the movies. And these are the kind of people who use Glad bags. Housewives who maybe go to the movie once or twice a year. That's a perfect plan. A plan that doesn't even involve making a good movie people will enjoy. Trust me, it's just 90 straight minutes of unlikable fools having car trouble. I'm gonna add an extra line in this script just so I can include extra clips of people in the movie having car trouble. $1 Million Mystery was a big flop and it made less than $1 million at the box office, meaning it didn't even earn enough money back to cover the $1 million prize. Hard to believe the leverage of marketing titan Glad bags didn't elevate this to box office success. Even worse, the clues hidden within the movie were so obvious that it took no time at all for viewers to submit over 350,000 entries with the correct answer that the money was inside the Statue of Liberty's nose. The producers weren't expecting the mystery to be solved so quickly by so many people, and they ended up randomly selecting the winner to be a high school sophomore. The high schooler said she'd use the $1 million to get braces, a pony, and put the rest in a trust fund. This 14-year-old had better financial prowess than the movie producers themselves. And it's fitting that today, the Trash Bag movie has a 0% certified rotten rating on Rotten Tomatoes. But all of this wasn't even the worst part. While filming what was said to be a routine motorcycle chase scene for the movie, legendary stuntman Dar Robinson lost his life when he lost control of his bike and fell off the side of a cliff. This after Robinson had done 19 years of stunt work without ever having even broken a bone. If you're going to a party thrown by a liquor company, you may expect to black out, but probably not like this. Back in 2013, Jägermeister held a promotional pool party in Mexico where organizers thought it'd be fun to create a cool effect by dumping 4 buckets of liquid nitrogen into the swimming pool. And with that sentence, you can hear the gasps of terror coming from science teachers across the globe. Because the liquid nitrogen did create a cool smoke effect, but it also displaced the oxygen above the pool, causing people in the pool to start suffocating. With 200 people in attendants, one by one, swimmers started losing consciousness, putting everyone in serious danger of drowning. There's video of the exact moment it all goes wrong. It starts with scattered coughs, with the fog around the pool so thick you can't see the water, which by itself also seems like a safety hazard. Then you realize people around the pool are looking really worried and start pointing into the pool. Next, people start frantically jumping into the pool, getting lost in the mist, and coming out carrying unconscious, limp bodies. And all of this happens within 1 minute. 9 people were pulled from the pool and rushed to the hospital, and one 21-year-old fell into a coma. Some articles say the nitrogen reacted with the pool chlorine to form a poisonous cloud, while scientists argue nobody was poisoned. It was the liquid nitrogen reducing the amount of oxygen in the air, which caused them to pass out. I almost failed chemistry, so I'll just say you've got a doom cloud above a pool, and it was bad. Jägermeister made a few statements with corporate talk like, "We are aware of this incident in León, Mexico, which is currently being investigated by our headquarters here in Germany. We fully support responsible drinking." Okay, pointing out that the party was in Mexico and the company is based in Germany just makes it sound like they're saying, hey, we were asleep in a different time zone when this happened, not our fault. But you know what they say about Jägermeister pool parties? Come on vacation, leave with chemical inhalation. So this is what happens when advertising a cartoon blows up in your face. By 2007, Aqua Teen Hunger Force was in its 4th season and a movie based on the show was on the way. And to promote the film, Cartoon Network's marketing agency launched a guerrilla campaign installing 38 LED signs around the streets of Boston, featuring characters from the show known as the Mooninites. These innocent little pixelated dudes would soon bring disaster on the morning of January 31st. First, a commuter waiting at a bus station spotted one of the signs under a bridge, and the closer they looked, the more worrying that weird blinking box with wires and tubes seemed. Soon, at least 9 suspicious device reports were made, and the next thing you know, the interstate is blocked off, public transportation stopped, cops, fire trucks, ambulances, helicopters all rush to the scene, the bomb squad is called in, the whole city put on lockdown. When the brave heroes swarm to the suspicious device, they come face to face with a cartoon alien flipping them the bird. For good measure, the bomb squad went from location to location, carefully inspecting each sign, hosing them down with water, and even detonating some of them. The timing of this couldn't have been worse, with law enforcement already on high alert from another unrelated suspicious package left at a nearby medical center. Someone had dropped off a package with a note saying, "God is warning you that today is going to be a sad day." So even after these Mooninite signs were confirmed to not be dangerous, law enforcement didn't know if these were distractions tied to a bigger attack. Just shows how much trauma America was dealing with after 9/11, because as much of an overreaction as this was, I kind of get it. That being said, these Mooninite signs had already been up for weeks with no issue. They were also installed around 9 other major cities, and none of them lost a shit about it. But there's gotta be a fall guy, and the first to face punishment for this bomb scare was not Cartoon Network or the marketing agency, but the 2 guys who were paid to hang the signs, Peter and Sean. After they were released on bond, they held a press conference that every major news network cut to live, and then they spent the entire time talking about 1970s haircuts. Oddly enough, 7 years later, the city of Boston would hire one of them for a New Year's light show celebration. Turner Broadcasting and the marketing agency paid a $2 million settlement to the city and Homeland Security, and when the dust had settled, the creators of Aqua Teen Hunger Force made a whole episode about the fiasco for the 5th season of their show. But Adult Swim said, "Oh, no, we won't be doing this again," and didn't allow it to be aired. It wasn't shown to the public until 2023 at a private screening for the Boston Comedy Festival. To this day, Boston news outlets still bring up the cartoon hoax every year on the anniversary. This Pepsi marketing stunt cost 5 people their lives. The Philippines was a huge soda market in the early 90s, and Coca-Cola was dominating the competition. Pepsi needed to heat things up. Back in the States, Pepsi found success with a campaign that had customers buy their sodas, check the number under the bottle cap, and if it matched the winning number announced on TV later that evening, you won $1 million. Pepsi's CEO thought that if it worked in America, why not try it overseas? They launched the campaign called Pepsi Number Fever in February 1992, and at first things went great. People were chugging Pepsi with every meal, digging through trash for bottle caps, all with the hope that one of their bottle caps had the winning number inside and would make them a millionaire overnight. And so Pepsi sales increased by 40%. The 12-week campaign was such a hit they extended it an extra 5 weeks. It really looked like Pepsi was going to overtake Coca-Cola as the king of pop, until the night of May 25th, 1992, when the nation tuned in to Channel 2 to hear the winning number get read out. $3.49. People poured into the streets to sing and dance. Families wept tears of joy. The whole country was filled with celebrations and new millionaires. Because while Pepsi had planned to crown just 2 millionaire winners for each drawing, a computer error had caused the winning number of $3.49 to be printed on over 800,000 bottle caps. That meant Pepsi owed hundreds of thousands of winners to the tune of almost $32 billion. An emergency meeting was called in the dead of night, and the sleep-deprived Pepsi executives came up with their genius solution to get out of this mess. Every winning bottle cap would receive 500 pesos, which is about $5. The Philippine community said, oh hell no. And by the following morning, riots broke out, Pepsi trucks were firebombed, factories attacked, and in all the chaos, 5 people lost their lives, including a 5-year-old kid and a school teacher when a grenade was thrown at a delivery truck. Things would never be the same. An anti-Pepsi protest group formed called Coalition 349, and in one of the most hardcore quotes I've ever read, this 64-year-old woman promised the Seattle Times, "Even if I die here, my ghost will come to fight Pepsi." The soda company was so hated in this country, they had to rebrand their Philippine basketball team from the Pepsi Hot Shots to the 7-Up Uncolas. They were looking down the barrel of over 20,000 incoming lawsuits, but the courts ruled that Pepsi didn't have to pay the winners, just a $6,000 fine to the government. And in the Philippines, a new term for getting scammed was born. You weren't just duped, you got $3.49'd. This ad campaign for an Amazon TV series made an entire subway car look like it was sponsored by Nazis. Prime Video's new 2015 series, The Man in the High Castle, was about to drop, about an alternate timeline where the US and allies lost World War II. And to promote the show, Amazon wrapped an entire New York City subway car in Nazi and Imperial Japan iconography. Every inch of these subway cars was covered with Nazi and Imperial Japanese insignia. They covered the walls, the ceilings, they even covered the seats. And they did this ad installation in, of all places, New York City, home to one of the largest Jewish populations in the world. Who in their right mind is gonna wanna sit there? Doesn't matter, because the MTA said this met their advertising guidelines. This was also an example of how invasive advertisements have become. Public transit is something millions of people need to use every single day, and to not just be advertised to in there, but to be forced to interact with these ads no matter how intense they are, that might be the most dystopian part of all this to me. And my personal conspiracy theory is that this all went according to plan for Amazon. Their statement wasn't really an apology and didn't even mention the subway car. They just doubled down that their content is high quality, provocative programming. And they probably knew they didn't even have to go all out to get nationwide attention on this marketing stunt. It only took one single subway car. This isn't a knock on the show. I haven't seen it. I've heard it's good. And the first episode did go on to be the most watched Prime Video pilot at the time. Beauty is pain, and 90 years ago, beauty was radioactive too. If you were shopping for some footwear in the 1930s, your local shoe store might have offered a groundbreaking new service involving a box of electromagnetic radiation. With the all-new Shoe-Fitting Fluoroscope, you could try on a pair of shoes, then shove your feet into this glowing wooden box powered by x-rays and see the fit down to the bone, where a passion for fashion and being down as heck for new age tech come together to help you find that perfect fitting pair of shoes. The future of shoe shopping is now. Shoving your little tootsies into a live x-ray machine was standard practice for nearly 30 years. It wasn't until the late 1940s that scientists started measuring these machines and later realized that over 60% were emitting radiation way above safe levels. Customers using it only once in a while were typically fine. The real concern was for the shoe salespeople, who operated the machines up to 20 times a day. One saleswoman did so for 10 years and developed radiation burns on her hands. In another case, a shoe model had her leg amputated due to repeated exposure with the x-ray machines. And you know what? There was never any clear evidence that the machine actually helped with shoe fitting. Most salespeople saw it as nothing more than a promotional gimmick. It's easy to hear all this in 2025 and say, wow, people back then were dumb. But when I was a kid, every time my parents brought me with them to Walmart, I was always sticking my arm in that blood pressure machine in the pharmacy section. So I know for sure that I would have fried my little feet in the Shoe-Fitting Fluoroscope until the poor shoe clerk had to yank my radiation-roasted dogs out of the box. Hell, this gimmick might still even work on me today. I want to see how my foot skeleton looks in Crocs. 6 Mission Impossibles ago, the secret agents of the Paramount Pictures marketing team had a devious plan to spread the word about the upcoming Mission Impossible 3 movie. Paramount rigged newspaper stands across Los Angeles with music players so that every time someone opened a stand to buy a paper, it would play the Mission Impossible theme song. According to an LA Times official, this would turn the everyday news rack experience into an extraordinary mission. Ugh, don't make me barf. But we got a problem, folks. This playful marketing stunt turned into a citywide code red, and it was all thanks to one crucial flaw: bad Velcro. The music devices were originally secured in the news racks, so they'd be hidden inside, but a few were jarred loose and fell on top of the stack of papers. So now you're a regular pedestrian opening the newspaper stand to buy the LA Times, and you're greeted by a blinking red box with wires all over it. The first 911 call came from a vigilant citizen in Santa Clarita reporting what they believed was an explosive in a newsstand. Then another report came in about a similar device found near a medical center, which had to be evacuated, displacing around 300 patients for an hour and a half. LAPD rushed to the scene, the bomb squad was deployed, and just as a precaution, they detonated one of the newsstands. But here's the thing, there weren't just a few of these suspicious devices, there were 4,500 spread all across the city. So as more people stumbled onto these tiny red devices, more frantic 911 calls had to be fielded by law enforcement, clogging up emergency services for days. Eventually, authorities traced the source of these suspicious packages back to Paramount Pictures and realized it wasn't a citywide terror threat, it was just some good old movie marketing. Paramount was ordered to pay close to $100,000 in damages, which for a marketing campaign reaching national headlines that perfectly matched the vibe of the movie it was advertising, that's promo at a huge discount. The Times senior VP of operations even said, "I think Paramount is pretty happy about it." And after all the chaos, they didn't even have to remove the devices. The theme song playing boxes were allowed to stay in the racks through the end of the campaign timeline. Since tone-deaf marketing stunts know no bounds, I can't cover all of them, so let's just do a lightning round of noteworthy gaffes. The car company Fiat tried to non-consensually strengthen their bond with women in Spain by mailing out 50,000 anonymous love letters. They were cryptic and creepy. Please just pause to read this for a second. The recipients were understandably terrified since it seemed like they were written by a stalker. A second letter from their secret admirer arrived days later, inviting them to their local Fiat dealership. Now everyone was pissed, Fiat was sued, and a third letter was mailed out, which this time was an apology. Snapple tried breaking the world record for largest popsicle by constructing a 25-foot, 35,000-pound popsicle in Union Square. This idea should have waited until winter. The attempt was unsuccessful because the popsicle melted immediately, flooded the streets with sticky strawberry kiwi goop, and forced the fire department to shut down several roads. The South Australian government wanted to reel media executives into town by mailing out 55 live goldfish in bowls labeled "Be the big fish in a small pond and come and test the water." But the fish containers were sent out with poor water conditions, so when the executives opened the packages, they were just bowls of dead fish. Pepsi has a long history of marketing disasters, along with the Pepsi number fever fiasco we already covered. In 1996, they ran a Pepsi points promotion where you could trade points for prizes. One commercial jokingly listed a military jet for 7 million Pepsi points. When a man did the math for what the monetary value would be for 7 million Pepsi points, he tried to redeem the jet. Pepsi tried laughing it off, and the man sued. The federal court ruled in Pepsi's favor, and the future commercials hiked up the price of the jet, adding a couple zeros and a disclaimer that they were just joking. Then in 2017, Pepsi thought they ended racism with their Live for Now commercial featuring Kendall Jenner, where she resolves a protest by handing a white cop a can of soda. Can't believe that one didn't work. Radio stations also get wild with it. In 2001, Birmingham's BRMB held a contest called Coolest Seats in Town, where contestants sat on dry ice to win concert tickets. The station was fined $15,000 after 4 people got severe frostbite. Y'all, you don't mess with dry ice. In middle school, my friend and I were stupid and wanted matching dry ice scars. You got what you wanted, kid. 18 years later, mine is still there. Another radio station, KDND, ran a contest in 2007 where whoever drank the most water without peeing won a Nintendo Wii, and a 28-year-old woman passed away with water intoxication. In the 1950s, DuPont Cellophane ran ads showing babies wrapped in cellophane. The campaign was stopped after people realized this might be a suffocation risk. And possibly most unhinged of all, Ogilvy India ran a campaign for mattress company Kurlon featuring a cartoon Malala Yousafzai getting shot in the head by the Taliban, bouncing off a mattress, and landing at a podium to win an award. The tagline reads, "Bounce back." Reading all all that made me want to jump off my bed and out a window. Now might not be a good time to advertise this, but if you enjoyed this video and you subscribe, I'll have more subscribers. And the more subscribers I get, the fewer super targets I'll destroy. And if you want to see more videos from me, check out my last one, where we watch a bunch of movies that totally rip off other movies. I'll see you in this other video, and let's do this again sometime. Here we go!